Hello, I'm Andrea Heidloff, Panthera's Vice President, and I'm here today with Dr. Luke Hunter, Panthera's President. Dr. Luke Hunter is one of the world's greatest cat experts. Here at Panthera, he oversees the direction and strategy of Panthera's wild cat conservation programs. Dr. Luke Hunter has contributed to over 100 scientific papers and popular articles, and his latest book, his 6th book, is Carnivores of the World. It's a field guide to all of the 245 species of terrestrial carnivores that exist today. Does anything else like this exist?
No, there isn't. I think it's the only field guide of its sort which covers all the terrestrial carnivores on Earth, so that's 245 species. So I had to present all the information that I could in a very concise form on every one of those species.
So how do you even begin a process like that?
It was a kind of a huge research activity to begin with. So in fact, the research for the book actually took about 3 times as long as the writing. The writing sort of, when I really got down to it, took about 6 months, and I spent more than a year and a half actually just compiling all the information I could on what's known about the species that are featured. And in many cases that starts with the scientific literature, what we know and what's been published in all the science of the species. But that ended up being a sort of a massive process of finding thousands and thousands of publications and reading up as much as I could about each of those species until I was comfortable to sit down to write about them. And then this constant engagement, which I think I really benefited from with people who are working on each of these species in the field. So especially the animals that we don't know much about, but I came across contacts who were the experts, who were doing work that hadn't yet been published, who were undertaking projects that were new and exciting, and I could actually interact with them and they would give me the very latest on it.
So what type of information exists for each one of the species listed in this field guide?
For each species I cover the big broad strokes on their behaviour and ecology, so it covers things like distribution and range, habitats they occupy, and then the key elements on things like the feeding ecology, what they eat, how they hunt, whether or not they impact people both by killing livestock and in some cases killing people, and then as well information on their social and their reproductive ecology, so whether they live in groups, whether they're solitary, and then all the information on breeding, how often they breed, how often they have cubs or pups, how successful they are in raising those things. And then each account will finish with a short section on the conservation status of the species, because many of them are severely imperiled.
Was there any information that you came across while going through the research that was so completely surprising?
It's just astonishing to me, the ecology of being a polar bear. They are an amazing animal. They, females can have home ranges up to 600,000 square kilometres. That's almost the size of Texas. An adult in 1 year can cover that range. At the very end of the book, just when it was going to press, an amazing paper came out on a female polar bear who was tracked with a GPS collar, who swam constantly for almost 10 days. And the GPS data let us know finally what they're capable of. She covered 687 kilometres, I think. It was 9.5 days she was swimming in water that was between 2 and 6 degrees Celsius. And I mean, it's just extraordinary to me that an animal is actually capable of that.
So unlike a lot of field guides though, this one in particular doesn't include maps.
So what we've done, maps don't appear in the book, but we've made available new maps online, so people can go to Panthera's website and actually download all the maps, and the advantage of that is we'll be able to continually update them. So as new information comes in about these species from surveys and activities around the world, we can update them, so people will have the field guide for the bulk of the information that's important for its use, but then be able to update them, download the most up-to-date maps.
Who can benefit from reading this book?
I hope the audience is a general one, because it's not a scientific book. There is a lot of scientific info in there, but it's presented in a way that I hope is really accessible. So it's sort of that one-stop shop for anyone who's interested in carnivores. And so, that could be students, naturalists, professional biologists, people going on trips. I think that's the idea of a field guide, is now actually they've got the ability to hopefully identify any carnivore species they see in the field.
Well, thank you, Luke. This has been truly informative. We're all really proud of this accomplishment and the amount of information and the effort that went into this. You can get your copy now on Amazon.com. It's available as of October, and you can download the maps at panthera.org. And please send us your feedback. Send us thoughts, comments, questions for the author to info@panthera.org. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks
very much.